Welcome to the historic Calvary Baptist Church. Calvary Baptist Church has been at this location for 142 years. And having an event such as this is right in the fabric of Calvary Baptist Church. Calvary Baptist Church has been an advocate and a leader and a trailblazer, advocating for the voiceless. In fact, today, as you put forth this bill, Calvary Baptist Church was the first African-American church in this city to do affordable housing. Calvary has been the leader in all sorts of community action, and so this event today is fitting. We want to take a quick moment before we introduce the governor to just tell the native son, the son who was born and raised in this city and who is a member of this church, and him and I are both mentored by our pastor, who he has learned all of the tutelage to be a champion for people. We want to say thank you and again celebrate and tell our Assemblyman Benji Wimberly we're always with you. And thank you for thinking of our city. Those who know me, I like to read at least 2 books a month. And one of the great things about reading books provide information. But the book that I love most is the book that I champion, the book that I use and is sacred to me is the Bible. And the difference about the books and the Bible is that books are informational, but the Bible is transformational. And what I heard downstairs today under the people who worked so hard to create this bill, they are transformational leaders. They did a yeoman job in advocating for the people. But also in this book that I love called the Bible, God is a God of purpose. He's always a God of purpose, meaning he's intentional about what he does. In fact, the Greek word for purpose is intentional or intent, to do something, to always do something. So when you see God in the Bible, he's not there just for a photo op. He's there to do something. He's there to do. So when he comes on the scene, even though the work that has been done, when things get done, then God has to sign off on it. God has to make it law. And when he shows up, it means something important is about to happen. In the life of a governor, he travels all over the place, and he has to be at a lot of events. But when he shows up and signs a bill such as this, it is purposeful and intentional. We have a governor who is purposeful and intentional. And when he shows up, he's showing up because he knows he has to do something, because we have a governor who is always doing. And so we're glad that he's here today to put into law the work that so many that I heard downstairs today who worked, sweat, and put in the labor, including our very own Assemblyman Benji Wimberly and Senator Singletary, and the work that's gone forth. So we're glad to welcome the 56th governor of the great state of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, here at the historic Calvary Baptist Church.
What a treat. By the way, I'm violating, as I speak, rule number 1, never follow a pastor speaking. Hello, Congressman. Great to see you. Congressman Bill Pascrell is in the house. Good afternoon, everybody. It is always an honor to be in the historic city of Patterson and the equally historic Calvary Baptist Church. To one of the great faith leaders, one of the great leaders in our state, to Pastor Dr. Randall Lassiter, thank you so much for everything you do. Bless you. As you say, this church has been tending souls in Patterson for 140-something years, and under your great leadership, it is poised for another untold many, many more to come. Bless you, and incredibly honored to be here. I'm equally honored to be here as well with a group of leaders without whom our progress would not be as great as it has been, and that's the understatement of the day. I'll start with the guy who just came in, one of the greatest champions, not just for Patterson, its former mayor, but for our entire state, the incomparable, the one, the only, the singular Congressman Bill Pascrell. We've got several. If I miss people, please forgive me, because I'm not sure my eyesight is what it used to be, but several of the legislature's stars, brightest stars, are with us. Is that Angela? Speaking of legislators, for three of them, we're in their backyard. So we've got Senator Nellie Poe, the aforementioned Coach Benji Wimberly, and Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter. You mentioned Senator Troy Singleton. He wanted to be here, could not, had a work challenge come up, an emergency. Keep him in your prayers, because he was a driving force in this. We've got Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds Jackson is in the house. Assemblywoman Angela McKnight has just arrived. Great to have you. The mayor of the great city of Patterson, Mr. Met, Andre Sayag, is with us. We got County Commissioners John Bartlett and Pat Lepore are here, and I know Assad Akhtar worships here, and he's trying to make it because I was just with him a short while ago. Gentlemen, thank you for hosting us. A friend who I've not seen in a while, I have to admit, Mark, but has been there, including during my time as a member of the National Board of the NAACP. He's the president of the National Urban League, the former mayor of New Orleans. The one and only Mark Morial is in the house. Reverend Pastor Eric Dobson, Vice President of Fair Share Housing Center and co-convener of the Black Multi-Faith Alliance, is in the house. Boris Franklin. Boris, where are you? Boris, right here. I should have shaken your hand. I didn't recognize you with your mask on. A member of the Board of Directors of the New Jersey Reentry Program, and more on you, Boris, in a few minutes. Is that okay? Bless you. Chief of Staff of the New Jersey Division of Civil Rights, Aaron Michelle Williams, among a cavalcade of others, including other faith leaders. Where are you? God bless you. You're in the back there. Aaron. I can see you sitting beside my colleague, Deb Kornavaca, in the back. Now, as it says in Psalm 1, forgive me for practicing without a license here, Pastor. I'm above my, Eric, I'm above my pay grade here, to say the least. As it says in Psalm 118, verse 24, and I know you all know it and could say it with me, "This is the day the Lord has made, let us rejoice and be glad in it." And this is a day for being glad and celebrating, or the word that I would prefer to use, commemorating, as it is the first time that Juneteenth is being recognized not just as a real, official, honest-to-goodness state holiday, but as of yesterday, a federal holiday as well. Amen. I don't want to... TJ, is that you? I can't see it. TJ Best is in the house, Commissioner. How are you, man? Between bad eyesight, masks, and occasional sunglasses, I'm batting a very low batting average, recognizing, but it took me a while, but I got there. I'm thrilled it's a federal holiday, Pastor, but I just want the record to show New Jersey got there first. Now, I'm speaking to a sanctuary full of people who overwhelmingly know this, but I think it is worth spending 1 minute on history, because the history of Juneteenth is just as important to us in how we use this day to charter a better future. And again, reaching to the Bible for inspiration, let's keep in mind the lesson of Romans chapter 15, verse 4, "For whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction." So you all know this, but let's just repeat it for the record. On June 19th, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger a white man, landed with troops in Galveston, Texas, to spread the word that all enslaved blacks were at last free. This was fully 2 months, by the way, after the Confederate Army had surrendered. But even more importantly, it was the 901st day after President Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation on New Year's Day in 1863. Let that sink in for a minute. For 901 days, thousands of enslaved black Americans continued to toil in the most horrible of conditions, not knowing that they were in fact free women and men. Hello, Reva Foster and Frank. Nice to see you both. Bless you. So yes, we can and must celebrate the end of the literal and physical chains which held blacks as chattel. But look at the history of black America since then. Jim Crow kept the promise of the freedom from slavery from being fully realized. In some cases, realized at all. It replaced slavery with second-class citizenship. We cannot ignore the figurative chains which have kept our proud black communities from achieving the full equality which they deserve, which they have been promised, and which is their most basic right. It has been 402 years since the first black Africans were brought to our shores to toil in slavery. The practice was formally eradicated 156 years ago. And I might add, for the past 3+ years, we have worked together like never before to finally do all that we can to eradicate its vestiges. And the legislators present deserve an enormous amount of credit on a series of things I'm about to allude to. We have put our minimum wage on a solid path to $15 an hour. We have given everyone who works the guarantee of a paid sick day and access to expanded paid family leave. We today have among the nation's strongest laws to ensure equal pay for equal work. We know these steps are predominantly benefiting people of color, who have not only held a disproportionate number of low-wage jobs, another vestige, but who have been impacted by decades of wage discrimination. We have increased funding to all-time record levels for our public schools, and we've made historic investments in pre-K, which is a cornerstone for building a stronger future for thousands, countless thousands, in fact, of our kids. We started the Community College Opportunity Grant Program, which today is allowing thousands of residents to attend community college and get their associate's degree tuition-free. We are opening new opportunities for minority-owned businesses to compete for and win public contracts to provide essential services and goods. Through the leadership of my wife, the First Lady, alongside a whole host of departments, agencies, faith community leaders, healthcare leaders, and a whole bunch of legislators, many of whom are here today, we are meaningfully confronting the infant and maternal health crisis that has disproportionately, overwhelmingly and disproportionately impacted black moms and black babies. We enacted one of the nation's leading laws to ensure environmental justice and to ensure that the voices of the community are heard in the decisions which directly impact them and their communities. We have put New Jersey squarely at the center and in the forefront of the national fight for justice, with among the most progressive expungement reforms in the nation, part of our Second Chance agenda. Reforms which today are allowing residents whose futures had been held back because of past convictions to finally move forward. We restored the rights of tens of thousands of residents on parole or probation to vote. We have opened the curtains of the voting booth wider than ever before. Together, the Attorney General, Gabir Grewal, and State Police Superintendent Colonel Pat Callahan are undertaking a transformation in the culture of policing across our state. This includes working in partnership with faith and community leaders, residents, and stakeholders to fully restore widespread respect, mutual respect, among members of law enforcement and the communities they serve. And through his powers, the Attorney General effectively eliminated mandatory minimum sentences for non-violent drug offenses. Any state in America would be proud to have collected such a tremendous list of accomplishments in such a relatively small period of time, and we certainly are. The thing is, though, we're not done. We can never be done, Pastor. We still have too long a distance to travel. So one example I want to hit. In my State of the State address in 2020, which, by the way, feels like 5 lifetimes ago, a month before the pandemic swept over our state, I announced my intention to form a task force focused specifically on the issue of our state's gaping, and I use the word gaping deliberately, racial wealth disparity. This is a deeply rooted and persistent issue that separates and segregates our communities. It overwhelmingly harms black and brown families, and the proportions, again, I repeat, the proportions of the disparity are literally jaw-dropping. So this is literally white net worth versus black or Latino net worth, somewhere in the range of 40 to 50 times, not 40 to 50% more, 40 to 50 times in our state and in our nation. And so long as it persists, it will prevent our state from fulfilling its God-given potential. So today I am proud to announce that Lieutenant Governor, my rockin' partner in government, Sheila Oliver, Banking and Insurance Commissioner Marlene Caride, Rutgers University President Jonathan Holloway, who, by the way, is a noted scholar in black history, and Maria Vizcarrondo, the President and CEO of the Council of New Jersey Grantmakers, will serve as leaders of the Wealth Disparity Task Force. Next week, I will be naming the remainder of the appointees, comprised of leaders from across numerous key stakeholder groups. Our racial wealth divide is born of complex issues that have festered and interwoven across decades and centuries. They are, yes, also rooted in our state's own regrettable history as the last northern state to eliminate slavery from within its borders, a fact made even more pitiful by the reality that it took the adoption of the 13th Amendment by other states to accomplish it, as our own legislature then voted against ratification. So overcoming this challenge will not only require us to leave behind the old ways of thinking, it will require us to stare our past in the mirror and take stock of what it means to be New Jersey. And that brings us back to today. I am proud to sign into law a measure to further level what has been for too long an unlevel playing field when it comes to access to housing. And in this enactment, we are once again making New Jersey the standard by which other states will now be judged. The Fair Chance in Housing Act will ban once and for all the ability of landlords to reject prospective tenants merely because of a past criminal conviction, especially for those who carry on their records convictions for low-level or nonviolent crimes, those who we must support in their reentry and reestablishment. This is nothing less than a game changer. I mentioned him earlier. He will come up in a couple of minutes. We will hear from Boris Franklin in his own words about what this new law will mean to New Jerseyans just like him. New Jerseyans who made a mistake and want nothing more than to move forward in their lives and prove they should be judged on who they are now, not what they did then. Again, I want to repeat, I'm especially appreciative of all the legislators here today, and many of whom may not be here, but especially of Senator Singleton, Assemblyman Wimberly, Assemblywomen McKnight, and Reynolds Jackson for being the prime sponsors of this new law. So, too, I want to acknowledge, among other groups, the New Jersey chapter of the NAACP, the Latino Action Network, the Fair Share Housing Center, and the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, NJ. Each of those organizations and others contributed greatly not only to this law's substance, but to its passage. On this Juneteenth, New Jersey reaffirms our commitment to ensuring equality for all while accepting our own history, which sadly does not always match our present. Juneteenth is a day for celebration and, as I say, commemoration across our state and nation. It is a day of freedom, but we also cannot ignore that its history is steeped in the phrase, justice delayed. Too often, justice delayed has turned into justice denied. That's not the New Jersey we know or want to be. The New Jersey we know is full of love and compassion, a place where we believe in second chances and where everyone is treated with the basic human dignity to which they are entitled and have been given by our common Creator. And while we look back in history as we commemorate Juneteenth, we also recommit that we will not go back. We will only move forward, and we will do so as one state and one diverse and proud family. I thank you all for being here, Pastor, and to each and every one of you. I'm humbled that you would host me so graciously. It means a lot. Great to be in this sanctuary and in this great city of Patterson. With that, please help me welcome the guy I referred to a couple of times. He's a board member of the New Jersey Reentry Program, a guy who has lived this reality, a real hero of mine, Boris Franklin.
Yeah, he has to follow the pastor, and I got to follow the governor. Thanks a lot. Who put this together? Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Boris Franklin, and I'm honored to have been invited to speak at our state's first Juneteenth commemoration and share part of my own story about why the bill that the Governor Murphy is signing today is so important. I am a formerly incarcerated individual, and I'm an organizer with New Jersey Together. And we are a coalition of more than 50 religious congregations and nonprofit organizations that span from Hudson County, Morris County, Essex County, and we are growing. Over the last 2 years, New Jersey Together have listened to more than 700 people and their families across the state who have been directly impacted by the criminal justice system. Through both my work and my personal experience, I know that accessibility of housing for those with a criminal record is at the top, and if not near the top of the list of what is holding most people and families back. During my childhood experience, I experienced moments of what is known as extreme poverty, and in those moments, as a young person, I felt powerless to change my situation. It was this feeling of hopelessness that led me to start dealing drugs. It wasn't long before I was arrested and sent to prison. During my time in prison, I got involved in a college associates program called New Jersey STEP. After my release in 2015, I enrolled in Rutgers University. And this short span of 6 years of returning home, I earned a BA in sociology, a minor in psychology from Rutgers University, became a visiting fellow for the Global Center of Advanced Studies. I was the lead author and actor in a play called Caged. I also had an internship with Princeton University, became an instructor for Teen Gateway through Rutgers University, a program that is aimed to turn around at-risk youth, and I also received an humanitarian award from my now hometown, the borough of Highland Park. I say all this not to highlight my personal experiences, but to say that despite my never-ending mission to earn back the respect of my family, my community, and our state, I am still not free from housing discrimination because of my criminal record. After my release, I applied for several different apartments and was denied again and again. I got to the point that I would call and ask if they would consider renting to someone with a criminal record. This is because I did not want to keep applying for housing and paying the fee for the application and then being turned down. because I simply could not afford it. Time and time again, they would tell me, don't bother to apply. I am truly relieved that this type of discrimination in New Jersey will end today. Eventually, I did find an apartment to sublease through the Reformed Church of Highland Park. But on behalf of formerly incarcerated men and women like myself, I would like to personally thank Governor Murphy for his willingness to sign this historical legislation and allow me the dignity of being able to rent an apartment in my name. Thank you, Governor Murphy. Thank you for listening.
Pastor, it was bad enough following you. Boris, that was unbelievable. One more time, let's hear it for Boris. I don't want to put Benji or any of your colleagues on the spot. Do you have any idea what the total number of folks who will be impacted by this? Does anybody know? It's a big number, though, right? It's a big number. And Boris, you're representing a whole lot of brothers and sisters here whose lives are going to change in about 20 minutes. With that, please help me welcome in all seriousness a great mayor, a guy who leads this city incredibly well, and anyone who's a mayor knows it's not an easy task, and he does a great job at it. Patterson's mayor, Andre Sayegh.
Good afternoon, Patterson. Good afternoon, friends. I'd be remiss if I had not acknowledged the leadership of the Reverend Dr. Randall Moses Lassiter and the pastor of this congregation. Governor, you earned many points for your response to the pandemic. We appreciate your leadership and stewardship of this state in an unprecedented and uncertain time. But I have to give credit where credit is due, because we've been at war with this virus. And when you want to win a war, you call in the Calvary. And Calvary Baptist Church stepped up, opened up its doors, and in one day they vaccinated 1,000 people here at this site. Not to mention, overall, 2,000 people, in addition to the 1,000, were vaccinated here at Calvary Baptist Church. So they played their role in putting an end to this pandemic. Again, I salute the family here at Calvary Baptist Church. Boris, I want to thank you for your touching testimonial. Welcome to Patterson, and you can move here if you'd like as well. The governor said he wanted to practice without a license. I want to preach without a license as well. I've been inspired by what you said. Your touching testimonial reminds me of one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible, from Proverbs 16:9. Plans are made in a human's hearts, but it's God who directs our steps. And when you mentioned that you were a New Jersey step, that's all I can think of, that your steps are being guided by God, young man. I salute you and congratulate you on scoring this victory as well. And so to our legislators led by our very own Coach Benji Wimberly, thank you for being the personification of Proverbs 16:9. The plans were made in your hearts, but it was God who was directing your steps. Thank you very much.
Andre, thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Next up, I mentioned him earlier. No matter how good a job we do in the sanctuary, pastor, in the community, mayor, no matter how good a job we might do, Assad Akhtar, who I referred to earlier, is in the house. Assad, great to see you for the second time today, Commissioner. First Muslim American commissioner in the history of Passaic County. I should, by the way, Bill, I apologize. The reason why Assad and I were together earlier today, I don't know if you saw this, but we reached our goal of 4.7 million New Jerseyans fully vaccinated. And Assad works at University Hospital in his day job, and we were together to make that announcement. But we're not stopping, by the way. We still have work to do, and Pastor, you know this. We have work to do, especially Nellie, you and I have talked about it. Shavonda, all of the whole team here, particularly on the equity side. We have much more work to do in black and brown communities, and we will stay at it. We're waking up. Shavonda, you live in this world. We're waking up Monday morning with the same intensity in our vaccination program as we had yesterday. Just because we reached our goal, our initial goal, does not mean we're taking our foot off the gas, and we won't. Back to this guy. No matter how good a job we may do within the four walls of New Jersey, whether it's a faith community, a city, a county, the entire state, without warriors fighting for our interests in Washington, we cannot achieve our aspirations. And today is a great example of that. Please help me welcome Patterson's own, one of my heroes, Congressman Bill Pascrell.
Thank you, Governor. And good afternoon, everybody. Well, I only live a few blocks from here, so this is the church I used to stop at when I was going crazy, being the mayor or whatever. And this is the church I rested in. So I want to thank the governor for the outstanding job that he's done. I'm still caught up in yesterday in the vote. After I voted, I cried. I'm not known as a crybaby. You better believe that. But the emotion which I've been building up, and to see it, and what's happened in that Capitol since January the 6th, I was right in the middle of it. No, if you're from Patterson, you don't yield. If you're from Patterson, you don't turn away and say, I quit, the job is too tough. If you're scared, don't run. I've never been scared in my life because I live in Patterson, New Jersey. And I know the people are goodwill. And people will tell you, I say it right off the floor. And on the floor. I always mention Patterson with one T. We got a lot of stupid people out there, don't know how to spell our name. And they're not all on one side of the, the community itself. Mayor, thank you for bringing us through, like everyone else, and bringing out people like Reverend Lassiter, who's the best. Thank you for what you've done. It wasn't easy. I've been through this, not in a pandemic, and I know you had to be steadfast, and you were. And now you got your strength from the governor because he was working 24/7 a day. This was a community action. This is something that we should be proud of. We've been through a heck of a year, but the best of us came out. What we can do, examine that year very closely. What we've been through. Who come up, who steadfast, and who dropped back. You know it. I know it. Not important to shed names here. Our historic Calvary Baptist Church is hallowed ground. This is the right place for us to mark Juneteenth. I couldn't think of a better place. This week, the House, just yesterday, and the Senate designated Juneteenth a federal holiday. That's a big deal. We're trying to get rid of holidays. We were strong enough to enter into the ledger one of the holidays that will last forever. No one's going to change this one for stupid reasons. I remember talking to John Lewis just 3 years ago, before he passed, about this day. And if it wasn't for John Lewis, we would not get the legislation that we have even on the desk, waiting for some kind of signal, so that the other side understands its significance. The preciousness of the vote was exonerated, was claimed by John Lewis, who told me the story about when he was growing up in Alabama. He was on his farm, and he remembers the day when there was a major storm where everybody in the house stood in a circle to hold the house down. And he went out and fed the chickens after that. John Lewis. I never met anybody like him in my life, I'll be very honest with you. He wasn't just from Georgia, he was from Paterson, New Jersey. And by the way, there was another congressman who came from Paterson, New Jersey, was married in Paterson, New Jersey. And Jim Clyburn tells me day in and day out, if I had stayed in Paterson, New Jersey, you wouldn't be the congressman. And I said to Jim Clyburn, probably not. But I know. He broke in and said, but I know you'd still be a pain in the neck to me. He's a great guy, a great leader. He turned that election around in the South, in South Carolina. He really put his heart and soul into it. And that's what we're talking about today, heart and soul. So it was 1865, was it? Well, you know, Texas is known for a lot of things. But we have buried many things in our lives not to remind us of what happened at that time that hurt a lot of people. Maybe they didn't bleed, but hurt a lot of people. Broken arm, broken heart, no difference. And that was what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We saw that documentary a few weeks ago. We couldn't believe our eyes. I mean, this happened in America? Yeah. That happened in America. January 6th happened in America. The Italians that were killed in Louisiana happened in America because they worked with African Americans toe to toe. They suffered the consequences, quote unquote. Many things. The community college here in our own town. Reverend Wilkes and I stood in this church, pleaded with the people to help us get that community college in Paterson, New Jersey, many moons ago. Dr. Melander was the first president of the college, and he was a good man. And we started out with about 30, 40 students, and now has 13, 14,000. They said we could not do this. In fact, when they put us in the telephone building, they were building the mansion over in the Bergen County. I remember that clearly. So the board of the community college decided to meet up in Wayne, New Jersey at the Botech School so that we wouldn't be around. So what we did is we rented a bus. Wilkes and Pasquale went into their pockets for a change, and we rented a bus. We piled the people into the bus. We sat in the back of the bus. And Reverend Wilkes was shouting out to the folks now, look, you know how you have to behave, and we're going to say our piece, and remember the prize. That's what John Lewis always said. Don't get distracted. Don't do stupid things. We all do them. And we got up to Votech School, the bus pulled in, and a cop jumped out in front of us. Said, where do you think you're going? So one of the guys in the front of the bus says, we're going to our freedom. We want to go to college. The cop didn't know what to do or what to say. We got to that meeting. Reverend Wilkes and I got turned out and thrown out. But the majority of the people stayed. They would not yield. And then we had, so I was the detractor. So what they did is they put me on the board of the community college to shut me up. And the first night I was a board member, I put the motion on the table to put the community college in Patterson. Everybody went crazy because I didn't tell the president of the board or anybody. We argued that for 3 different meetings in the next several weeks. And at 3 o'clock in the morning one morning, when they were getting tired, the opposition, when they wanted to put this in the suburban community and hide it away from us and not know the law. Well, a lot of things that are phantom issues. People want us to forget them. And we, one by one, they got tired and voted for the community college. And here it is. And here it is. 13,000 students. 13,000 students. And I'll put that community college up against any in the state of New Jersey who may not have a big lawn, but we're spreading out. We're doing what June 19th is all about. You cannot rest while we are challenged. When we are trying to do, we imperfect people, the right thing. The right thing. Remember I told you? The day after I was sworn in to the Congress of the United States in 1997, my neighbors were at my house, bringing flowers and fruit to my wife. We hope your husband doesn't forget us. They thought we had to move. Isn't that interesting? They thought we had to move. And in my house on 9th Avenue, I sweat to buy that little cottage, and I'm not leaving. And you're not throwing me out. I stayed there, and I couldn't be happier. My kids went to the public schools. We have to mix with each other, or else we're never going to be together. And that's what June 19th is all about to me. You got to read the Louisiana story, please. Please do it. Just like you have to read the 1954 book by Ralph Ellison, The Invisible Man. How many read that book? I mean, before I opened up the cover, I said, "What the heck is who's invisible?" African Americans and people of color have been made to feel invisible. It has not been successful, thank goodness. And you know exactly what I am talking about. You are not a phantom population. Your color is needed in Vanilla Town. We've heard that a lot of times in Patterson. I remember growing up. This city has more potential. Juneteenth is not about 1865 so much as now. Where are you and the list of people who are trying to make it a little better? Not a lot. You don't have to change the world. We have paid a devastating price for refusing to acknowledge our history. Repeat that in your mind. A nation can only achieve greatness if it looks at its past with unswerving honesty. Man, is that difficult, even when we look at our own lives. That is the most difficult thing to do. A nation that cannot face its negative past imprisons itself forever. So much of our nation's division today comes from the unhealed wound of slavery. Study the recent 100th anniversary of that Tulsa race massacre, which I mentioned before. After being erased from the history books, this is what Carrot Head wants to do, and what he just recommended the other day about examining the history books and what they preach and what they talk about. That's what he wants to do. Change our history and try to detract us and distract us from what really happened. We cannot let it happen. Cannot let it happen. I made a commitment to you in in 2016. I kept that commitment. It's the most important commitment I've ever made to you. That is, I will not yield to people who try to speak for us, but don't represent us and don't even care if we're there. The Invisible Man, Ralph Ellison wrote. A beautiful book. Must be part of our history. Must be part of our school. What do you know about that? I want it to be part of our education. I want it to be mandatory. How about that? How about that? There are 380 bills in the state legislatures across this country seeking to rig elections and threaten our right to vote. That's beyond Jim Crow. Defending our cherished right to vote, John Lewis bled this every day. Cherished right to vote begins with a passing clean and fair election reforms of H.R. 1, reauthorizing the Voting Rights Act. How can anybody be afraid to vote for that and go back to their constituents, even if they live in West Virginia, and tell them what that is all about? So, Governor, this is an auspicious day. And I'm sorry if I spoke a little bit too long, but I feel this in my gut. I was waiting for this moment. Because when we forget things, and particularly if we're forced to do that, or some people try to do that to us, we will forget the pluses and the minuses, the hurts and the smiles. This is a great country. This is a great city. We have forgotten a lot what's happened in Patterson, and we were wrong to do so. Of course you want to forget horrible things. Who wants to concentrate on that? But Governor, I know the pioneers of this city that never got their names on the front page of a paper, but worked every day to make things just a little better. And that's what makes you helpful and hopeful every day. That motivates you. Thank you for coming to our city, which you've been many times. But thank you for coming on this special day when we raised the flag 2 hours ago at City Hall. I almost forgot to come. The mayor will tell you the story. I would have been in my gym shorts, and I would have looked really stupid, but I made it home. Found a way to get it in my house and put my clothes on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the dignitaries who come here. The Urban League, who can beat them? They've been there, and they never gave up. We will never give up. God bless you. God bless your families, and keep our own Patterson strong so that no one forgets us. Thank you.
Let's hear it one more time. Congressman Bill Pascrell. We've got a couple more speakers between now and signing that bill into law, and they're each exceptional. I mentioned he was the former mayor of New Orleans. He's a good friend. He's the president of the National Urban League, and he's now loud and proud New Jersey's own. Mark Morial's in the house.
Thank you. Good afternoon. To the pastor, the governor, and the mayor, in that order. To all of the elected office holders and public servants and residents of the great city of Patterson, I'm proud to be here. As the governor said, I'm a proud native of New Orleans, Louisiana. Today, it's the best city in the universe except for Patterson. And while my family and I moved here a bit more than a decade ago to work in New York City as president of the National Urban League. I am a resident of the state of New Jersey. And I want to thank Governor Murphy for his leadership during the pandemic. I watch chief executives, governors and mayors through the lens having served for 8 years. And I saw Governor Murphy visible, forthright, truthful, accurate, compassionate, leading this city, keeping us safe, bending the curve, encouraging us to be vaccinated, doing the right thing, while we know in some other states, in other regions of the country, we had utter chaos due to failed leadership. Governor Murphy, thank you for that great leadership. Number two, to Bill, Congressman, and to the members of the House and the Senate, that Juneteenth bill came out of nowhere. We did not expect that it would pass so swiftly and without rancor and debate. I'm proud. I'm honored. It's special to see that Juneteenth will now be a national holiday, a national holiday. And as a personal reflection, my family members, my enslaved family members, were residents on the Whitney Plantation in St. John the Baptist Parish, Louisiana. Anna and Victor lived on that plantation and were freed in 1863 by the Emancipation Proclamation. Anna and Victor and the Whitney Plantation is now a slave museum in St. John the Baptist Parish, Louisiana. If you visit New Orleans or Baton Rouge, I encourage you to visit that museum to get a sense of the horror, the brutality, the viciousness, and the number of people whose lives were crushed by the awful, peculiar institution of slavery. But what Juneteenth gives us is a chance to educate, a chance to inform, a chance to talk about, a chance to uncover what many wanted to bury. They wanted to bury Tulsa, call it a riot. It was a massacre. In my history books, when I was in elementary school, I was sought to be taught, that somehow when Europeans came to the North American continent, they came here to Christianize heathens who were indigenous Americans, that slavery was a benign system, and that slaves were docile and went along and were treated well. What Juneteenth is about is truth and reconciliation. It is about the beginning of the conversation and the action we need on issues like reparations. So we need to understand, Congressman, while I celebrate Juneteenth, let's pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Let's end this scourge of voter suppression laws taking place all throughout this nation. Let's end it. Very quickly, on the law that the governor will sign today, I am here because I want to work, Governor, with you, Boris, with you, Pastor, with you. Let's take the New Jersey example, Congressman, and let's make it federal law. Let's take the New Jersey example, and if we can't make it federal law, let's go state by state to get the protections. This is the absurdity in this nation. We say to people that when you are incarcerated and you do your time and you return to society, that you can come back to society. But we've erected a system in this country, that for even the most minor offense creates a wall of lifetime barriers. You can't rent an apartment, you can't get a job, you can't get a Pell Grant, you can't get a loan, you can't get a credit card. We have to end that system. We have to reform that system. We have to dismantle that system. And the governor and this bill, sir, congratulations on your courage for sticking with it, and all of the legislators who vote for it. Governor, I'm here to salute, to congratulate, but to commit. It shouldn't end in New Jersey. It should go all across this nation. New Jersey's leading the way. That's why I'm here today. Thank you very much.
I'll make two quick comments, Mark, if I can. Number one, I love that idea. Let's take New Jersey Nellie and spread the gospel. Bill can help us do that. And I do think this is worthy for us. It's a potential national model. I could not agree more with that. And secondly, if you're the president of the National Urban League and it's Juneteenth, think of how many places you could be. But Mark Morial chose to be with us in Patterson. Thank you, man. Two more exceptional speakers. This guy is a friend. He's a great leader. He's a great faith leader. He's also representing today Fair Share Housing. Please help me welcome another giant in our lives, Reverend Eric Dobson.
Thank you, Governor, to the mayor of this great city, Governor Murphy, congressmen, all my colleagues, my elected officials here. It is truly an honor to be on this pulpit of such a historical place, Reverend Lassiter, to be here with you sharing this historical moment. I'm not going to share what I said to the governor in our personal discussions about who I needed him to channel. He knows those initials, but I no longer will ask you to do that, Governor. I will ask you to be Phil Murphy, channel Phil Murphy once you sign this bill, because you have done a tremendous job of sticking with us on this. And I gotta say, in our personal conversations, we had some great talks about what we can do here in New Jersey. So to all the folks who are here who worked on this bill, Assemblyman Wimberly, who's the chairman of the Housing Committee, congratulations, sir, for working really hard. I had to acknowledge the chairwoman of the New Jersey Black Legislative Caucus, Sharonda Sumter, who is also from this area, from this city. All my colleagues from the United Black Agenda, Ryan Haygood here. All the folks, Reva Foster with New Jersey BIC, Salvation for Social Justice, just to name some, and our great NAACP President Richard Smith, Elise Body, Reva Foster over there, all our colleagues who have worked on this stuff, on this bill with a Latino Action Network, New Jersey Black Faith Multi-Alliance, New Jersey RAC, where the New Jersey RAC, my partner Sarah Blaine, all the folks. So I'm going to be quick. Just want to say, to all my team members from Fair Share Housing Center who are here in the house, would you stand up? Where are our team members from Fair Share Housing Center? James Williams, Director of Racial Justice Policy, board members. Thank you. And to our fearless leader, Executive Director Adam Gordon, thank you so much for Senator Poe, I see you, Senator Poe. Let me talk about two things today, and I'll get out of your way. All right, this is a historical moment. My ancestors was brought over here in slave ships, and my last name, Dobson, bears the name of an Englishman. That's the last name that I bear. My folks were from Ocilla, Georgia, Irwin County. Some of them were sharecroppers after slavery ended. And this is a historical time now. Stand on the shoulders of champions and be glad to standing here today. And I want to just for a moment just talk about freedom and restoration. Because that's what this weekend is about, right? Right? Juneteenth, celebrating Juneteenth, the freedom that existed 2 years before word got to Texas. And restoration, about the Fair Chance in Housing Act, restoring folks who are returning citizens, giving them the opportunity to have full citizenship. Am I right about it? Freedom and restoration. Somebody say freedom and restoration. 50 years ago, Adam talked about this. The war on drugs started, or the war on black and brown folks, and we want to end that as soon as possible, right? 50 years ago, the first case of the Mount Laurel Doctrine was signed when we went to make sure there's affordable housing in every community in the state of New Jersey. 50 years ago today, we're standing here talking about freedom and restoration. Somebody say freedom and restoration. But we also know that freedom has yet to be realized in this country. We're still fighting for freedom. Am I right about it? And when we talk about citizenship, citizenship was first instituted in the 14th Amendment, signed in 1866, but ratified in 1868. And 100 years later, after 1868, two of the most important events in the history happened. 100 years after 1868, the Civil Rights Bill was signed. Dr. King was assassinated, and I was born. And so I'm here today, born out of this freedom and restoration. We know that freedom has not been realized by every African American, Latino person in this country. We still got work to do. But if we can start working on restoring folks through citizenship, those who have returned from incarceration, those who are returning citizens, restoration can happen. And we're starting this campaign at Fair Share Housing Center called 1968 Continues. And we want to talk about that for a moment. This is a little story in the good book, the Hebrew Bible, in the Christian Bible, the story about the prodigal son. Y'all remember that? When the father had two sons, right? And he had an inheritance, right? And the one son said, Daddy, give me all of my inheritance now. I want it now. I don't want to wait till you die. I want it now. I wish we all could do that sometimes, right? Sometimes we're waiting for folks to pass on to get our inheritance. But this son said, I want it now, right? So the father said, gives him all his money. And he goes, it says, the story, he goes into a distant land. And he squandered all his belongings with riotous living, with prostitution, all that stuff. So he made some serious mistakes. You know what I'm talking about? Anybody ever made any mistakes in here? He made some serious mistakes. But he realized that if he can get back home, he'll be restored if I could just come to my father's house. Can I go to church for a moment? If I can get back to my father's house, possibly my father will restore me to citizenship. And those are the folks who are incarcerated now, saying if I can get back to my city, maybe they'll welcome me with open hands. Maybe I can be restored to citizenship. So he got on his feet, started walking down the road, and his father saw him in the distance. And the father got up out of his seat and started running towards his son. And he said, Daddy, listen, I don't need anything but just to be a servant in your house. And he said, that's nonsense, you're my son. Go get a celebration. Go get the drinks going. Go, listen, my son is home. Let's celebrate. Instead of putting barriers in place when people come home. Freedom and restoration. Somebody say freedom and restoration. My son, my daughter has returned home, right, boys? Let's, as a society, begin to restore them. Welcome them with open arms. Have a celebration about it. And they started partying and having a good time. They said, get him a new robe. Put a ring on his finger. Make him look like somebody. And all of a sudden, the other brother was out in the fields and he heard this noise. And he asked the servant, what is going on? He said, your brother's home. He was lost. He was incarcerated. Now he's back home. And the brother got upset. That's how we do in our society sometimes. When the citizens are coming home, we get upset. No, I don't want them living next to me. No, I don't want them living in my neighborhood. This is what this brother's attitude was. He said, Father, I've been here with you always. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't make no mistakes. I didn't get locked up. I didn't go to jail. And the father said, everything I have, son, is yours. Everything you've been here, I've given you everything. But your brother was lost, but now he's found. He was blind, but now he sees. He's coming home, and it's up to us When folks are returning home, they'll welcome them with open arms. Put our arms around them, hug them, give them house, give them a job, give them opportunities to get back on their feet. But when it was lost, but now they're found. Blind, but now they see. Oh, y'all don't hear me there. I'm done. If this was a Pentecostal church, the word going to be going on right now. But I was lost, but now I'm found. Blind, but now I see. Freedom and restoration. Somebody say freedom and restoration. Freedom and restoration. Freedom and restoration.
We're almost done, but I got two things to say. Number one, I just said to my friend, Pastor, I said, first time public speaking? That was extraordinary. I love you. And I should have said, not only are you, Adam, by the way, that mask is so darn big, I didn't even know it was you. Literally, it looks like a helmet for the Philadelphia Eagles or something. I should have said that Pastor Dobson was not, by the way, that was extraordinary. One more time, man, that was good. Not only were you representing Adam and your colleagues' interests at Fair Share Housing, but you were also speaking, I know, on behalf of the many advocates in this sanctuary and who helped get this bill written and over the goal line. So bless you. We've got a bunch of legislators. I believe we've got two. Patterson's own are going to come up and say a couple of words, and I'll leave it to you all in terms of the order of events. But we got Coach Benji Wimberly and Shavonda Sumter, and it's literally the case to say, without you guys, I know you're the top guy sponsor on this thing, Benji. Without the two of you, we would not be here today. Bless you both. Do you want to come together one at a time?
Good afternoon, family. Good afternoon, family. Greetings to the shepherd of this house, to my pastor, Reverend Kenneth Ray Clayton, who was in the building, but he moves pretty fast. To each of you, I am the chair of the Legislative Black Caucus. Senator Rice found it not robbery to pass the baton to me while he is living and still able to enjoy his life. So let's give him a round of applause for the legacy he has shared. I'm going to ask that my sisters who are here, who are also part of the Legislative Black Caucus, to please stand. And I want you to remain standing. Assemblyman Wimberly is here with me. The Juneteenth day that we celebrate, that the governor signed in September of last year, was Verlina Reynolds Jackson's legislation. It wouldn't happen without her taking the mantle there. We are on Monday voting in the legislature on a bill to empower citizens with the Community Civilian Review Board, and that's Angela McKnight's legislation. Since the civil unrest with the senseless murder of George Floyd, the Legislative Black Caucus has worked double time with over 60 different bills to make sure that we're not only teaching the Amistad curriculum, that we're celebrating Juneteenth. And as people ask, what will we do on Juneteenth Day? I can think of one, no better place to be than in the house of God, which we have not been during the pandemic. Two, not to be at a super sale at one of the stores, because that's not what it's about. But three, to reflect upon the rich history and what we have contributed to this country we know as America, who has not always loved us back, but has given us the opportunity to restore our place in history. My teammate here, who's also my brother, who is also a public servant with me, thank you ladies, has worked tirelessly on this bill with the advocates. It was some hard conversations where we had to stay at the table. There were calls where I had to say, you gotta stay at the table. Keep your hands to the plow. We will get there. Don't let up. Don't let up. And we fought vigorously as one, as united, as black folks, Latino folks. Our senator heads up the Latino caucus in the state Senate. We were partners on this journey, partners. And we want to thank Governor Murphy for having the fortitude, because this stuff is not easy. This is systemic and structural pillars that we're breaking down for you, Boris, and for generations behind you, yet to be realized, to have a quality place to live. Ms. Irma Gorham, our Director of Housing. This is what this work is about. So I'll leave you with this. Queen, I will leave you with this. Leadership matters. We're not in office to the only African-American clerk in the entire state of New Jersey, Danielle Ireland Imhoff, who is here, who fights for voter expansion with us to make sure we have access to voting, to each of you. We need y'all to keep us in office, to pray for us, and to make sure that we are working for the good of the people. And with that, my brother, Assemblyman Wimberly.
Good afternoon, Calvary, Pastor Lassiter, Governor Murphy. I believe Mayor Saya has stepped away, but all of our elected officials, and particularly our colleagues. It's always a pleasure to see our Assemblywoman here, Verlina Reynolds-Jackson, and my superstar, Angela McKnight, and our Senator, Nellie Poe. And as you said, she is the chair of the Latino Legislative Caucus, and she does an outstanding job, not just in New Jersey, but on a federal level, fighting for brown and black people throughout the United States. I tell you this is historical. Reverend Dobson, I really don't like you now, I tell you this, after fighting. I love you. I love you. This is the first time I've heard him preach. And to follow him, I might as well just fold up my folder and let's say get to the bill. But between yourself and James Williams, I hope you understand how government works. And people say, you don't really get ruffled too often. I said, no, I really don't get ruffled. After 10 years in Trenton, I can handle anything. I'm from Patterson, as the congressman said. So when you talk about bills like this, I'm a product of public housing. My family grew up in the Alabama projects. We moved from the Alabama projects to the 5th Ward of 17th Avenue, East 26th Street. So when you talk about poverty and dealing with people, so like when people have to Google stuff and look at statistics and say how many, well, I grew up in that. So, you know, unfortunately, my family members have been incarcerated. The people around the corner, when I still stop at the bodega on the corner, they, yo, what's up, Wimberly? I'm not Assemblyman nothing in Patterson. I'm just Coach Wimberly. Wimberly, I need a job. Wimberly, I need a place to stay. That's what this bill is really all about. You know, these are people that we can't run from. So being an elected official here, we're known usually by our first name. You know, Boris, I have so many kids. I was a teacher for 9 years at Eastside High School right down the street, and I've been an educator for 30-something years. Between teaching and coaching and dealing with recreation, this is what I do every day, and I don't keep count. So when they talk about statistics, I don't know how many people we try to help who've been incarcerated to get jobs, how to get health care, how to get education, I was on the phone this morning about child care. A young family here who had no family here, had a 6-month-old, and it's time for them to go back to work. What do we do? So these are the things that we have to continually fight for. But when you talk about bills like this, on this bill, I cannot thank Senator Troy Singleton enough. Like, Troy Singleton is not here with us, but in Trenton, if you can't figure out the Senate, the Assembly, and the administration, you're in trouble. So you better figure that out. So I thank Senate President Sweeney. I thank our Speaker Coughlin. And of course, I thank our governor for getting us to this point, because this is about leadership. And the fair chance here, you know, we all know the statistics when it comes that if you've been incarcerated, you're 10 times more likely not to get housing. You're going to be discriminated against. Boris, you said it all. This is what we deal with on every day. And then I wish the mayor was here, and I know we have some council people, Councilwoman Mims, and our executive director of housing, Irma Gorham. When you wake up in the city of Patterson in between, I would say 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock, we know that in this 8.4 square miles, we have over 150,000 people. It takes me 20 minutes to get from one point of town to the other side of town. So I know that there's a need for housing, but affordable housing. And for people who normally can't afford to go there, we need to have that here. The one thing that Pastor Lassiter said, I would really be remiss if I did not acknowledge the late, great Reverend Dr. Albert P. Rowe. So when you talk about housing and what's gone on in the city of Patterson, I remember when Calvary first, Dr. Fulmore, put that housing up in the 4th Ward over there on Governor Street. This is like the thinking was way ahead. So Pastor Rowe was way ahead when it came to housing and when it came to healthcare and when it came to education. Those are the shoulders that we stand on when you talk about Juneteenth. So we stand on those shoulders, and we have to make them proud and make them understand that we cannot discriminate against people who will never vote for us, who will never give us a financial donation to a campaign, and for the people that other people are afraid to touch. But when I get through the hood, I still give dollars out. I still give change out if I got it in my pocket, because you just don't know when you could be there or one of your family members could be here. But I do ride past family members who are in those situations, and we have to look out for them. So understand that, as Dr. Rowe and some of the great people, the Reverend Bill Mason, these people look down upon us right here. And as we celebrate Juneteenth and we talk about it, what we deserve, and we talk about it, that insurrection on the 6th of January, do not forget and do remind people, after 246 years of slavery, 89 years of segregation, we deserve everything. We deserve everything. So I don't want to hear anybody talk about, we don't want to hear that. Be it here. So do not act like you're giving us anything. You are not giving us anything. My sister here will talk to you an hour about reparations. I don't think it's about reparations. It's about giving us health care. It's about giving us quality education. It's about giving us housing and giving us peace of mind. So tomorrow when you celebrate, make sure you celebrate for those who did not have that opportunity. Governor, let's sign this bill.
Let's do it. Give us 1 second. We got to, come on, Dante, you good? You and I doing this together? You good? I hope the pastor will allow me to take my, hello, gentlemen. Nice to see you guys. I'm going to take my mask off for this, if that's okay with the pastor. I don't see him here. But you good, Dante? This is a big moment, Benji. Holy cow. I got chills. I don't normally get chills when I'm signing something here, but this is a big deal. So this is Senate Bill number 250. Pastor, I took my mask off just to sign this. Are you okay with that? The last thing I want to do is get crossways with a pastor, particularly Pastor Lassiter. Sponsors again. The top line names are Troy Singleton, Benji Wimberly, Verlina Reynolds-Jackson, Angela McKnight. 3 of the 4 of them, again, are with us. Troy Singleton wanted to be here, and he deserves a big shout out in absentia. We'll give him that. And the synopsis, which I always read, is the Fair Chance in Housing Act establishes certain housing rights of persons with criminal records. As you can see, the legislators will appreciate this is a thick bill. This is not quite the budget, which I hope to sign soon, but this is a big bill. Okay. We'll do one money shot here, as they say. I'm blind as a bat, so I assume that there are people out there with cameras. Okay. Dante, where are you? Okay, you're going to come on up. You're going to deliver the pens to the folks. In fact, why don't we're a little bit at the end. We're not out of COVID yet, but I think it would be kind of cooler if we asked folks to come up and get the pen. Does that work for everybody? As I call their names out? Okay. Let's bring our host up, the Reverend Dr. Randall Lassiter, Senior Pastor, Calvary Baptist Church. Come on down, Pastor. What a treat. Come on, man. That's for you. God bless you. You want to stay up? Let's stay up. Does that work? Keep. I hope it wasn't something I said, Pastor. We heard from an incredible story. He's a board member of the New Jersey Reentry Program. That guy right there, Boris Franklin. Boris. That man, Mayor Andre Sayegh. Can you help me here? Oh, good. Bring Bill up. Okay. Congressman, former mayor, speaking of mayor, Congressman Bill Pascrell. Come on down. God bless you, man. Love you. Thank you. Again, as I mentioned, he could have been anywhere today. It's a real treat to have the president of the National Urban League with us and a great friend, Mark Morial.
Yes.
You have to go, or can you say a couple of things? Okay. You know this is a big bill because we're going now to another row of pens.
It's like LBJ over there.
I wish. Please help me welcome, representing so many advocates, the shy and retiring, representing Fair Share Housing, Reverend Eric Dobkins. In absentia, where's my friend Dante? You still here, Dante? Okay, could you make sure, let's give him a huge round of applause, representing the 7th District, in absentia, Senator Troy Singleton. He needs no introduction, especially in Patterson. You just heard from him, representing the 35th Legislative District, the coach, Assemblyman Benji Wembley. I thought the way she put this was really good. So the chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, the homage to Ron Rice was really particularly special. Your very own Assemblywoman, Shavonda Sumter. Shavonda, you also were terrific at saying and reminding us that this day is a holiday in the state of New Jersey for Juneteenth because of a bill led by Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds Jackson. She also got a shout out already. She's all the way in from Jersey City to be with us today, representing the 31st Legislative District, Assemblywoman Angela McKnight. Please help me welcome the chair of the State Housing Conference at the NAACP New Jersey, Mike McNeil. Mike, come on down. Congratulations. Mike just showed me a piece of paper a couple of minutes ago, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
It's true. New Jersey just got ranked on Wednesday by Wallet Hub as the #1 state in America to live in. And you had the same reaction. Mike walks over and says, "Is this true?" You're darn right it's true. Great to have you, Mike.
Thank you.
Please help me welcome the lead organizer for the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, NJ, Sarah Blaine. Sarah, come on down. Congratulations. Well done. Really well.
Thank you.
Everyone check out Sarah's mask for a second. Very cool. And last but not least, another guy who's a friend representing, he's the chair of the Latino Action Network Foundation, Frank Argot Frere. Frank, come on down.
Thanks, Governor. One more, Governor. Thank you so much.
Tell Chris I said hey to you, right? Absolutely. Okay, I get the incredible honor. Boris, I hope you're listening, man. You ready? Thanks to so many people up here, out there, and around the state. This is now the law of the land. Yeah. Don't take my arm off. We got a team shot. Is that all right?
Yeah, team shot. Which team?